is Helen Mitas, and I just wanted to talk about how our limitations hold us back. It's absolutely incredible and mind-blowing, really, when the things that we have in our head and the thoughts that we hold for ourselves becomes our reality. I always thought that I had a pretty good grasp of, is this really true when I believe something? Is this holding me back? And yet, no matter what we think, we all have limitations, and our limitations are really at the point where that's the threshold. And so, as an example, I'll give this as an example. As many of you would know, I hold these live retreats, and I've held them overseas in the United States, and I've also held them twice a year in the Gold Coast, and I've held about 30 so far in terms of retreats in the United States and in Australia. And I always had this perception that no matter what, I could never have a virtual retreat. I always had this perception that I'm a very kinesthetic person, a very touchy person, and I need to be in the room with someone. This is the story that I've told myself all my life. In fact, even when I was in corporate and working in corporate, and I was the manager of a particular department, in those days I had my own office, and the people that worked for me and reported to me were supposed to be in an open plan office. And because I had this story that I need to be around people and I can't be by myself, I actually gave one of my team members who reported to me my office, and I stayed out with everybody else. And that's the story that I've carried on, almost all my life, that I have to be around people, that I have to be with people. And that is a limiting belief. And I really didn't see it as a limiting belief before, until this whole COVID thing happened. So interestingly enough, last year when I was in New Zealand doing my half-day workshop, one of the attendees, her name is Alessandra, she said to me, "Hey Angela, hey beautiful, hey Ian, good to see you guys." She said to me, "Helen, I really want to do this retreat, but I would prefer to do it virtually. Do you offer this as a virtual experience?" And I said to her, "No, that's not me. I have got an online system." She goes, "No, I don't want an online system. I want you to deliver this virtually so that there's interaction." And I went, "No, that's not what I do. I don't do that. I'm not comfortable with that." And that's the story that I told myself. Well, when COVID-19 hit, and I knew that I had a fully booked out retreat for May this year at the Gold Coast, I made a decision very quickly that I would have to hold it as a virtual experience. And to begin with, to be honest, I really thought that it's not good enough, that the virtual experience is not going to be enough for them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them the virtual experience, and then I'm going to give them the live experience at the Gold Coast in November, which is what I'm going to do. But now we're at day 4. So I'll tell you where I was the day before day 1. I was quite nervous. I felt quite nervous about delivering I've done workshops online, and but never more than for about a couple of hours at any one time. I thought, how could I possibly keep people engaged for 5 days? So, when I'm in the room and I'm teaching a live retreat, I'm working off the energy of the people in the room. And so the moment I feel the energy drop with anybody, I tend to do an activity where we get up and we do something, a relevant activity, of course. And so it's not just about teaching, but it's about managing energy. That's really important, because when you give people an experience, what they're receiving is an experience. And it's only through having an experience that they can then apply that knowledge into their life. Because if it's just a matter of giving information, all they need to do is go on Google and find out information. So when you're actually holding a workshop or a retreat experience, it really has to be an experience where the way they think has changed, and there's shifts happening at the subconscious level because of the activities and the practical learning that is being applied in the room. And so that's quite exhausting as a presenter, in a live experience, because you're not just teaching information, you're actually watching the energy and managing the energy. So I thought, how could I possibly do this as a virtual? How can I manage the energy when people are in their own lounge rooms? And, I can't necessarily get them to instantly stand up and talk to one another. Well, my limiting belief was just that. It was a limiting belief. So the day before, so the first day was on Friday. That was day one of my virtual retreat. I was quite nervous. I was quite panicked because I'm the kind of person that wants to over-deliver. I never want to under-deliver. I never want anybody to walk away from anything that they've purchased from me and say, oh, gee, wish I didn't spend that money. In fact, I want people to walk away from me and think, oh my God, I'm so glad that I made that decision. This is a life changer. That's what I want my people to feel about anything that they get from me, whether it's their experience here at HypnoFit at the clinic with my other hypnotherapists here, or whether it's a workshop or a half-day event or a retreat or whatever. I want people to have had their expectations exceeded. And so I was quite nervous about delivering a 5-day program when I had never taught for 5 days before. Hey Philip, hey Mark, good to see you guys. And that's how I felt, actually quite panicky on Friday morning, because I'm thinking, oh my God. And of course, you bring on what's in your mind, and my mouse stopped working and people didn't have their links to their Zoom meetings, but thank God I have a team of people that I can rely on and who were on hand to help, and everybody got the right links and everybody came in. And I've got to say that today is day 4 of the virtual retreat. I'm talking to you at this very moment because I'm relaxed now. I can actually do a live. I was too intense watching everybody before, but everybody is now partnered up in a Zoom room. So everyone is now practicing what I've just taught them. And it has been, I've got to say that they've been every single day, we still do highly energized activities. So every single segment I start with, I'm able to share the sound of my computer. Who would know? I didn't even know that before all this happened that I could do that. So I select appropriate music with words that are appropriate to what we're learning, and we all get up and have a bit of a dance. And then what I get them to do is recap their big aha moment from the day before. They share that, and then I go on to teaching the next segment. And after I teach that segment, I also then get them to go off into their Zoom rooms, which is wonderful. They don't have to leave the Zoom link. They just go off into a breakout room, do their practice with each other, and then come back into the main arena. I mean, who would think that this is available to us? And what amazed me more than anything else is I believe that this experience is is almost superior to the live experience. I imagined and I believed previously that this has to be, the experience has to not be as good because it's virtual, because I'm not there in the room. I actually think it's better. And the reason that I think it's better is that there's a lot of factors that play in here. One is that there's no room for introverts to hide. They get asked questions and they feel safer and they feel more secure because they're in their own environment, and so they speak up more. And so there's that. Everyone is totally comfortable. Everyone is really comfortable because it's in their own space and they feel comfortable with their own environment. We've been finishing at 6:30 every day, apart from yesterday we had an earlier day. There's no travel in terms of traveling home, because they're already at home. And that you can, as a presenter, you can keep people energized and focused throughout the whole day. Of course, we still have breaks, like we need to have breaks, but it's easy to keep people engaged simply by getting them to contribute through the chat, simply by getting them to unmute themselves and ask a question. And people can hear really well in terms of everything that I'm teaching them because there's no other distractions around them. And so I really believe that this virtual experience for my peeps and for my hypnotherapists is a superior one. I would never have believed that before. I would have said, I'm going to give them this virtual experience, but it's not until the live retreat where they really get to feel it. Not the case at all. It's just blown me out of the water in terms of how powerful the tools that we have are. And the thing is, this wasn't just invented, a few months ago. We've always had the capacity to teach like this, but because our mind is a certain way, and we think of things a certain way, and we think that this is a fact, it's not really a fact until we test it. And so I guess that applies to everything in our life. How do you know anything for sure until you test it? How do you know? So any kind of belief that you have, just like I had the belief that my live retreats are better than my virtual ones, and that I couldn't possibly be as effective teaching virtually for 5 whole days, just like I have been with my live. Not true. And the wonderful thing about this is that it opens up possibilities for markets all over the world to do a virtual retreat experience, because it is incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. So I guess my question to you is, what belief do you have that perhaps has been turned upside down with the unprecedented times that we've had lately across the globe? What has this experience taught you? It's certainly, I feel like I'm more in touch than ever to gratitude. Gratitude was something that I always practiced, but perhaps I had to intentionally tell myself to practice it. Like I would say, okay, I need to be, hey Joe, how are you? I needed to be grateful. This is, I don't think like that, Helen. You need to be grateful. And so let's get into that gratitude. I'm feeling like more than ever with this lockdown experience, and with the things that we used to take for granted, we no longer take for granted. And so more than ever, I'm feeling gratitude is just almost like filling me up every single day. The gratitude that I have, in my heart when I have a hot shower, is incredible, because we're so lucky to have that experience of having a hot shower. Justine's saying, I believe when a client moved interstate or overseas that I couldn't help them anymore. Yeah, exactly. You have this belief that, they're moving away from us and therefore we can't help them. Of course we can. We can help anybody, just as effectively no matter where they're located. And so I just want to, I want you to ask yourself the question, what is it that you previously believed to be true, which this situation that's occurred around the world has now turned that on its ass, and you now no longer believe to be true? For me, I've had a massive learning about being just as effective teaching people virtually as live, and the experience is just as valuable. And definitely the price of a virtual experience should not be markedly different to the one of a live experience, because the value, apart from obviously you're providing them with a luxury kind of resort experience when they're at the Gold Coast with pools and beaches and food and all the rest of it, you can't do that. But in terms of the actual information, it's the same, if not better. I don't know. I'm more comfortable. I think that I feel like the value that I've given over this retreat has been immense. In terms of connection and in terms of, inspiration, because I have felt like I've really, really connected from my very essence and my very soul to give them this experience, because I was so nervous about providing a virtual experience. And it is incredibly, incredibly powerful. And so it's blown that belief out of the water for me. I used to be that person that went, no. I'm not going to do a virtual retreat. It's not as good as a live retreat. It actually is better. I feel like it is. Better because the connection is different, and it's just very clear. The information is coming across really clear. You can still make a personal, soulful connection with the people on the other side of the screen. Many times through this whole experience, I feel goosebumps going all the way through my body. And I always feel that when I'm connected to soul and when I'm connected to purpose, and when I know that I am living with intention and connected to source as opposed to ego, which comes from here. It's connected to here instead. So that's what I want to leave you with, which is, what for you, I'd love you to put it in the comments below, which is, what belief do you no longer hold as true because of the miraculous and magical experience that we've all had to go through in the last few months? What belief has changed for you? So share that in the comments below. I would love to see them.